want to do an open, we do a weekly show called Now Hear This, and it's on new album releases and that kind of thing. I just want to do a cold open with you and just say, I'm Andy Partridge of XTC, and this is Now Hear This. And you can say something like,
which comes, this one?
Is it redundant or something like that?
Now Hear This.
Right there, go ahead.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Yes, microsurgery, it can be done. Look, you too can look like Andy Partridge of XTC. My goodness, now hear this.
Much better. Good. Okay, back to a regular shot. Now, if you could start this sentence, this is for, we have a segment in this show that is the new album releases and stuff.
Mutant Hour.
Right, and
Okay.
Adam's going to say, well, XTC has a new album, and here's Andy to tell you about it. You could take a two-shot, because both of you guys can talk in this, but if you would just start by saying, tomorrow, we release our new album because this airs on Monday, and your album is out on Tuesday.
Okay, and how long you just want,
and then
like
go into,
one or two sentences?
Yeah, a little bit of whatever you think is the most salient point about the album, Oranges and Lemons, if you want to talk about the title, the inspiration for the title, or why it's valid for what this
So
album is.
how long do you want this section?
About a minute.
About a minute.
And once you start it, we'll cut it into other.
Share this one.
That'll be the
Do
discount.
you want to share this one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That'll be right here.
It's going to be, yeah, it's like a double.
Yeah,
Shots,
two
yeah.
shots.
Two shot,
Two shots.
Miss Your
Okay.
Pussycat.
So tomorrow you release your 9th album.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
We'll do that one once more, shall we? Here we go then. Well, you start it off.
Yes, tomorrow we release our 9th album. Yes, we do. We do, folks.
He's right. Oranges and Lemons comes roaring out of the starter gates tomorrow. We hope you'll like it, because Colin and I, and Dave Gregory too, let's not forget Dave, Happy Laughing Dave, have strummed our guitars, plonked our basses. What else have we done?
Billy Bonk to our drums.
Yes, we've gone Ding Dong Billy Bonk with our drum kits. And Oranges and Lemons is due out in your butcher's shops as of tomorrow. Yes, the album that sounds great on any home appliance, not even a record player. We hope you like it, and how much is it? How much would it be here? Anyone, any ideas? What's your monetary system here? Is it shekels? Rubles, yes. Well, we know you'll like it. It's our 9th, and very good. See me after school.
Great. Now just for normal.
That was a rotten advert, and I wouldn't buy it.
We'll be cutting this into a piece, so it's fine.
Okay.
We just needed something
Have
to
to get the
start
knife out on that one, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
off. Yeah, see these bits on the floor there? That's what
Failures.
interviews of yours.
Our early failures.
Right. So we don't really know the reference, although you've said this a million times in interviews, I'm sure, to Oranges and Lemons, the nursery rhyme from England. Can you explain to us a little bit about that and why it's fitting for this album?
Okay. Well, the title Oranges and Lemons was originally chosen for its kind of upness, the positive side of it. I mean, the colours are very vibrant. The fruit's pretty good too. But by a coincidence, it's also the children's nursery rhyme, Oranges and Lemons, which is based around the sound of London bells, kind of onomatopoeia, you know, and being owed money, which is something we know rather a lot about. So I thought it was rather an apt title, and I mean, what do you call your album Arnold? You know, it doesn't matter as long as it comes out. So
I think the only thing we were worried about was the fact that it was like Oranges and Lemons, drums and wires sort of thing. We'd done that and something before, you know, so...
yeah, we were thinking of calling it Def Leppard's next big one, just to see if we could garner the odd sale or two.
Call it the Bill Cosby Show or something.
Yeah.
Everybody will buy it. You worked with a new producer this time. Although you had pretty good success with Todd on Skylarking, it was not an easy working situation. You decided not to go with him again.
Yes, it was the Todd Wars of 1986.
Yeah, the great Todd Wars. Well, it's not easy working with a producer who's 95 foot tall. It does have its problems. But the producer on Oranges and Lemons is a young American called Paul Fox, who we met just on the slightest whim. You know, he was kind of like the remix engineer of the week flavor, and Virgin said, "Would you like to meet him?" He did these remixes, and they played us some remixes, and they were very drastic. He did a Boy George remix in which he rubbed all the instruments out, kept George's vocal, and rebuilt a song under George's vocal. And I thought that was kind of radically interesting and so much better than the original. And we said, sure, we'll meet the fella. And he was so damn enthusiastic that even before we'd finished the first pint of beer, you know, he had the job. I think it was like, no need to interview anyone else.
He could drink more beer than what we could, so, you know,
Yes,
he was in.
he could hold his beer longer than us.
You
So,
keep it down.
a real man.
That's the fella
So
for
he was
us.
in. His enthusiasm was so strong to do it, you can't put a price on it. So he got the job.
And you've got a rather enthusiastic drummer to join you as well.
Yes, Salman Rushdie is drumming on this album.
Yeah, he was introduced to us through Paul. He said, you know, I know you haven't got a drummer, but I've already got one in the wings ready for you, you know. And it was Pat Mastelotto from Mr. Mister. But we won't hold that against him, but he's a really good drummer and a nice human being.
To boot. And boy, did we boot him. No, he was great. His drumming style was just the right feel for the album, because we wanted the record to be sort of an outward going, you know. The French have a word for it, buttress. No, we wanted it to be very outward going and kind of full of itself. And Pat's drumming is really sort of strong and beefy, and he's such a pleasant individual to work with.
Why have you never had a drummer full-time, at least in the last 8 or 9 years?
Well, not touring. It's not necessary to have any
Just
more.
another guy on the payroll,
Sure.
really, which is, you know, why pay?
It's tricky because we've now gravitated to being a three-piece, which is a three-pay. It's like a two-pay, but with more hair. We're now a three-piece, and it feels really good. You know, we all understand each other, and I think the creation process is really starting to cook now.
It's quite refreshing, actually, getting another musician in, you know, I mean, to play along with. And
To lend money from,
it makes
because we
it-
all know each other by now. No, I'm not lending him any.
He puts his stamp on it, you know. So it's a different head.
So there's Pat Mastelotto drumming. Mark Isham is playing trumpet on half a dozen tracks. He's good too. He's a lousy drummer, but a great trumpeter.
Where's dear old Dave?
Dear old Dave, well, he's sat at home in the dark now, in bed with the covers over his head, sniffing after a curry. Yeah, the record company wouldn't pay for him to come over and talk to you. So you have to imagine him. We'll pretend this is Dave. Well, did you enjoy making the album, Dave? Yeah, not bad. That was quite a good Dave impersonation.
Very good, yes. I was fooled for a moment.
But
I
you
thought
were.
it was
You
Dave.
were. Did you hear that?
So, the single is not faring that well in England?
The English don't really like us. We're not very exotic to the English. We're kind of average. It's like, you know, you live in England, oh, look, a red double-decker bus. Oh, look, London Bobby. Oh, look, some HP steak sauce. Oh, look, tea bags. You know, it's the everyday. But you,
I think it's true to say we haven't got a lot of street cred in England. I don't know why. I think they think that we still make albums like white music, you know.
but you come over here and we have an exotic flavour. You know, it's seen as the three Terry Thomases or whatever, and it's more interesting. You know, Americans, 10-gallon hats, yeah, rodeos, yeah, you know, cop cars and sirens. It's all like Americana, but we bring English alia over here, and ooh, isn't that exotic?
So you think the single would do well here?
Yeah, hopefully. It's a good tune. Americans tend to take us on, you know, face value. We have no past. Every time we bring a record out here, it's like there's just pure enthusiasm, and they don't start saying, yeah, well, let's think about their past. Yeah, well, let's, you know, how long have they been going and all this kind of stuff. They just say, if it's a good song, they say, yeah, we like it, and
I'm sure a lot of
that's the
people.
way it should be.
I'm sure a lot of people in America think this is only our first or second album. You know, they're just unaware of what we've done before. You know.
And you love their naivete.
I do. I like the fact that if they like you, they like you. It's in England, you know, you have to pass this kind of examination of, you know, how much street credibility have they got then, you know, and bah humbug.
It sounds, you know, definitely like hit material to me, and Billboard, I think, had an article about there were at least 5 hits on the album and all this. Or do you have that feeling about it as well, that it's more of a popular-oriented album than previous work?
Yes, it definitely feels. I think the album was made with a different spirit. It was after Skylarking, after Skylarking's reception by Americans, it was, whoa, you know, there's actually some people out there that want to listen to us, you know, and it warmed the heartles of me cock, as they say. And we actually made this Oranges and Lemons with a kind of new optimism, and I think that in infuse itself into the songs, into the arrangements, into the playing. It's a real kind of record, you know.
I think it's the success that keeps you going, you know, it makes you want to go and write some more songs for the next one, you know.
But it's been tough. I mean, you guys have never broken through in a big way, and you know, how have you managed to get through to that 9th album in the first place?
It's been tricky. It's been tricky money-wise. You're talking to a man with £300 in the bank, and it's my head's just about above water. I've just about got my nose above water, but we enjoy making records. It's our drug.
I drowned years ago.
He drowned years ago. This is a hologram of Colin here. We cloned him. We couldn't get the Hitler model we ordered, so we ended up with a Colin. It's tricky because there's, like, you know, financial considerations, blah 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 blah. But making records is really our drug. It's our we're complete junkies to making vinyl, and you know, pulling that record out of the sleeve is a big rush for us.
I think we're reluctant video makers. I think it's a necessary evil, but it's
something that we never got into.
Because we don't tour, we have to do it, but we're not actors, you know, we're musicians.
You know, Dear God was really well received. Nicholas Brandt did a great job with that.
Yeah, that was shocking. After spending the best part of a day up in a tree. Thank you, Nick. Still got the splinters. Actually, the tree was great. Did you notice the tree? Did anyone notice the tree in that? He went to the Sting School of Acting. He was there for like 9 months. He was brilliant.
A method actor.
A method actor, yeah. He passed with flying honours at the David Bowie Academy of Acting Arts as well.
And how about this video? Who was involved? Nick Jones, was it, that directed?
Nick Jones was the original English fellow that put the thing together. But despite Nick Jones, it still ended up a good video. Thank you, Nick. It was edited over here, and it's not bad. We're, like Colin says, we're reluctant video makers. I actually think music's for your ears. I think it's for your ears, your feet, your crotch, your brain, your arms. Like one of the last places it stops at is your eyes, you know. So my idea of a perfect pop video would be a 3-minute blank cassette. I suggest you turn your picture off now and listen to our golden tones, and you'll get the right effect.
And yet you refer a lot to visual imagery in your with your music, and that albums have certain tone colors. That Skylar gave us paisley, and this one is brighter colors.
That's in retrospect, I think. But yeah, there are a lot of visuals in our music, but it's visuals that everyone gets differently. I think the idea, the wonderful thing about music is that everyone has a different picture. You know, when they hear a song, everyone has their own private film going on in their head. Just like a book, you know, you read a book, everyone has their own little private playhouse of this thing. They see a film and they think, no, it wasn't as good as the book, because everyone's imagination is more fantastic than any film that you could ever make. And it's the same with music. Everyone gets these great pictures to the music, and then they see a video and they think, no, it's not as fantastic as the pictures I had in my head. And it's kind of like a frustration of, you know, matching the visual to the suggestion in music.
But it can also elaborate and expand the musical experience, don't you think, in some cases, if it's done well?
No, I'm more cynical about videos. I think that a lot of videos are used to slide a load of crap under the door, to be truthful. You know, in 100% of attention while you're watching this thing, so much of your brain is taken up with the pretty pictures and the pretty colours that an awful load of musical rubbish gets sort of, you know, shoved under the door. Yeah, while he's watching the pictures, we'll just slide this in. And
it's not really an advertisement for MTV, is it, really?
no, not really. Well, here we are on MTV Radio.
Quite right. We appreciate your honesty. One of the things we're going to be talking about in the upcoming months is to change tracks here, the anniversary of Woodstock, the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, okay.
Which somewhat comes up your alley in that you use a lot of your music with psychedelia and 60s influenced stuff. Can you tell us about some of those influences and what your reaction to Woodstock was at the time?
I don't think we were old enough to really appreciate what Woodstock was about, you know. I think I was only about 11, you know. So, I mean, we had our own festivals in England, you know, Isle of Wight and Bath and stuff. So we were into our own thing, you know. So Woodstock doesn't really, it's just pictures on the TV, you know.
It was like a distant event for us. It was something so remote. And, you know, we were at the sort of age where, actually, Best thing about Woodstock, this is quite honest, the best thing about Woodstock for me was the fact that the newspapers and magazines would print all these pictures of bare-breasted girls dancing in the mud. And it was a great excuse to snaffle them all up and take them up to my bedroom and get into a bit of sex education. So, cheers, Woodstock. You started him going.
They'll use that one, I'm sure. What about that period of music, though, that has been influential, whether you felt you lived through it?
Sure. Well, I thought that, if anything, Woodstock was like the grand explosion, the last death gasp of that kind of music. I think music had gone through a highly creative phase, and it was really just flaming out in grand fashion by the time that Woodstock happened. Woodstock was like, World War II. It was so much is an equal mixture of death, life, mud, fun, horror. It's like World War II. World War II, plenty of people really enjoyed World War II. It made their lives. It was the best thing that ever happened to them. And it's kind of like Woodstock, But again, distant for us. You're talking to foreigners here. Woodstock, what's that?
Yeah. What about that kind of music, though, and why has that been something you've come back to a lot in your music these days? Psychedelia.
I think because we were at the sort of ages where we were spending our first pocket money and, paper round money. We were dashing out and buying records in the late 60s, early 70s. Because we were possessing these things, I'd run out with my Christmas record voucher and buy Sgt. Pepper's and put it on and just play it until it unraveled into a long piece of black vinyl string, basically. So that was the kind of music that got slammed in such a heavy fashion. It's just, I was influenced. Count me.
I got into psychedelic music a lot later, just in the last 5 or 6 years, really, through Dave's and Andy's enthusiasm for it, But I guess I was too young to really appreciate it at the time. I mean, my era in music is really sort of the early 70s, really. Sort of a lot of bands on the Island label in England, bands like Free and Jethro Tull, and that's my beginnings,
You're talking of a boy who Black Sabbath meant everything.
Ozzy was pretty big in my book, yes.
That's surprising.
I'll do my Aussie impersonation. Hang on. Hey, you have to run along the front of the stage, clapping like this. He knows.
So, when are you guys going to start living the rock and roll lifestyle?
Rock and roll lifestyle, it doesn't exist. What's the rock and roll lifestyle? It's what? Parties and, it's okay if you're a teenager, but who wants to be a teenager all his life? I can't think of anything duller.
We're in bed at 10 o'clock with a cup of cocoa, That's
Yes, cocoa, that's where it is, kids. Getting that cocoa down your neck, you'll get a buzz. I'm 35, I have 2 small children, and I'm not into the rock and roll lifestyle. I'm into 35-year-old things. I have no desire to be any older or any younger than I am right now. I'm kind of reveling in where I am. It's great. I don't think you should try and recapture your lost youth. It's crazy. It really disgusts me to see like 50-year-old men in satin tour jackets with a little gold Coke spoon and their leather pants. Hey baby, let's party. Come on.
Well said. Last little bits. Are you hoping that this album will be huge, or does that scare you?
I would like it to be accepted. Huge is, huge is, we're talking freak, really, aren't we? We're talking about, bee sting upon bee sting that just swells up, lightning striking twice or whatever. We're talking freak accident. If people like it and we make enough money to be able to carry on to make another one, brilliant, because that's all we're interested in. Is,
I think he'd be even more scared if it failed, I think we
just
just
window cleaning if it fails.
We just owe too much money for it to fail,
Mm-hmm. So it's going to succeed. I feel good. If it doesn't succeed, we'll write some more. Got a few more songs left in my pocket, I think.
Any parting comments for the Americans?
This is design your own tombstone time, isn't it?
It's not necessary.
Any parting comments from the Americans?
Make some good bread. You either get sourdough or you get really something that tastes like cake, Good bread.
Yeah, you're suffering bread dilemma here in the States.
We'll work on it.
I like America's non-class system. I mean, coming from England, which is riddled with class frustration and class ghettoing. I like the only class over here is cash. If you made a success of yourself and you have cash, that's the kind of class thing, which is weird in itself. But it's fresher than, you know, in England, if you're born to a certain class, that's it. It's like India's caste structure or something. You know, oh, he's an untouchable, and this is still rife in England. So I like America's fresh, kind of anyone can succeed approach, or anyone can fail approach. I think that's real natural. But then again, you know, you're just a little kid in terms of how long you've been trying this stuff out. You know, England's well past its. England's into rotting now, I think, at the moment. Yes, it's past ripe and it's into rotting. So the English are weird. We're all inbred. You know, all got rotten teeth and collect something.
Plus, you can get damn good service over here. Damn good servicing over here. Yes, I mean, you can get steak and eggs at 3 o'clock in the morning, and anybody who's ever been to England and stopped in an English hotel knows that they're the worst in the world.
You can't get steak and eggs any time of the day. Breakfast in England in an English hotel. Breakfast is served from 7:30 to 7:35. Sorry, love, you missed it. Now, these are not really relevant thoughts to them. You know, this is not really party. This is not really kind of inaugural speech stuff, is it, really? No, you're doing all right. I'm sure you'll like the new record. If you don't, we'll try again.
Enough said. Thanks. That's great. Good stuff there.
Done, Steve.
Okay,
Good stuff.
all done.
Thanks.
Now we have to get in a